It's so good to be joining you on this very special edition of the India Development Debate right here on ET Now. I'm Supriya, Shrinate, and joining me all the way in Mumbai is my colleague and co-anchor Sandeep Gurumurthi. It really is a typical tit-for-tat from Prime Minister Modi, leading a rather strange attack against the opposition parties for obstructing parliamentary proceedings. The Prime Minister today joined the BJP President and parliamentary leaders for a day-long hunger strike. Ironically, Modi's fast politics comes soon after the hunger strike called by the Congress against a host of issues, including the rise in communal violence and the anti-Dalit stance of the government. The party is clearly not amused by the Modi fast. The Congress has called it a farce fast. The Congress says it is in fact an upwas ka jumla by Modi and company, who are fearing a backlash in the upcoming assembly elections of Karnataka.
Now, experts believe the return fast is a political masterstroke by Modi, who is under attack over a host of issues ranging from the mismanagement of the Kaveri water dispute to the deteriorating law and order situation in BJP-ruled states like Uttar Pradesh and J&K. There's also a growing dissent from the NDA's current and former allies and the newfound bonhomie among southern states over the 15th Finance Commission's revenue-sharing formula. But the moot question is whether the Prime Minister will be able to deflect the criticism against his government through this unprecedented move. Fast politics by parties, that's our topic of discussion on the first leg of the India Development Debate tonight. Joining us on the show is a power-packed political panel. Sambit Patra, spokesperson of the BJP, Sanjay Jha, spokesperson of the Congress, and Sanjeev Srivastav, political commentator, joins in on the show. Thank you all for taking time out and joining us. Sambit, let me start off with you. What are you exactly fasting to protest against? Because if this is against a disruption in the parliament, then the onus of running the house lies with the government of the day. So is this an admission of your own failure? And more importantly, have you got the optics of the fast completely wrong? Or, I mean, who's talking about a fast on a day when black flags are shown over the Kaveri issue, or the whole nation is outraged over two horrendous cases of rapes that have stirred the nation? So have you got the optics of it also completely wrong?
See, I firmly believe that as far as the optics is concerned, that's a separate issue, but the message has to be delivered home. And very successfully, the Prime Minister in a very silent way has delivered the message home that, look, as far as the Parliament is concerned, that is the most essential area for a representative of this country, and Parliament is meant for business. If the business is not delivered very democratically, we have every right to come out and protest silently and make this message come home. I would just like to begin by saying that the 5 Ds of democracy, where we begin with discussion, we may have dissent, we may even have disruptions, we may even go towards, I would say, decision at the end of the time. But to say that disruption is the most important event in parliamentary business is something which is absolutely wrong. Now, you have to just allow me a few more seconds to tell that imagine, Sandeep, what was happening that day when Sushma Swaraj ji on the floor of the parliament got up to deliver the saddest news of this session, that India has lost 39 of its citizens because of the barbaric actions of IS in Iraq. And what was the inhuman response of our opposition? I would call it inhuman because in the Lok Sabha she was not allowed even to speak, and in the Rajya Sabha we had seen that Mr. Venkaiah Naidu from the chair had to almost get up and rebuke the opposition in order to maintain a 2-minute silence. Is this what we have reduced a democracy to? Well, yes, the onus of running the house definitely lies with the government as well as with the opposition, but then the opposition and the government have to run in tandem. They have to cooperate with each other. The opposition in this case was not even concerned about which no confidence motion they were confident about. There was a no confidence motion of TDP, there was a no confidence motion from left, there was a no confidence motion at the end coming from the Congress party, a no confidence motion from YSR Congress. So naturally these are issues which are extremely important.
Right. Right. Sambit Patra, it's good to have you here on India Development Debate, and there will be some tough questions that will come your way. I'm glad you called Parliament Supreme. Your conduct doesn't seem to have reflected that. I'll come back to you in just a bit, but Sanjay Jha, you can't sit on your high horse there and today call the BJP's fast farce. The Congress party fasted 3 days back and on a whole host of issues, including dilution of the SC/ST Act, the communal overtones and all of that, with some of your party colleagues relishing chola bhatura before the fast had begun. Now, fasting really was a very potent moral weapon that Mahatma Gandhi used very effectively against the Britons. Are we now seeing a competitive sort of a fast here, relay fast, competitive fast, in-your-face fast, eat a meal before fast? And these smack of political opportunism. Are political parties on both sides of the political spectrum honestly of the view that you can take us all for a ride with these symbolic gestures, 10 to 5 fast, chole bhature before fast? I mean, who is a fool here?
You know, Supriya, what is the truth? If 250 hours of parliament has been wasted, it is entirely on account of the deliberate obstruction, unprecedented, created by the government itself. I mean, you have an extraordinary situation today where Narendra Modi, who was elected as the Prime Minister of this country by 31% of the voters, is sitting on fast and protesting. He's protesting against himself or what? I mean, this is a ridiculous, I would say, exposition of BJP's extremely cosmetic hypocrisy. Now, let me tell you the truth. The truth is that end of day, the BJP wanted to dodge any discussion on Nirav Modi, Chota Modi as we call him very affectionately, on Mehul Bhai, whom Narendra Modi kind of expresses with a lot of endearments. And then of course you have several bank scams, you have the special status for Andhra Pradesh, there is the whole issue of the way Sushma Swaraj and this government lied to not just the grieving families, but to the people of India on the 39 Indians who were killed in Iraq. There are multiple issues. But what is the truth? There is an ally of the BJP that actually ran a no confidence motion. And what happened? We supported it, every party supported it. I think this government is extremely weak-kneed and, shall we say, perceptibly nervous. They did not want to even discuss the no confidence motion. Today, Narendra Modi has been shown the black flag. Let me also tell you this, Supriya and Sandeep. You know, you have witnessed over the last couple of days the most violent, vulgar manifestation of atrocities against two innocent girls in Katwa in Jammu and Kashmir and in Unnao in Uttar Pradesh.
Sanjay,
both the cases you have the BJP is actually an accused
I take that point, Sanjay.
And in Jammu and Kashmir, they have supported rapists.
Sanjay, I take that point, and that is something
what kind of a political morality does this party have?
Fair enough. I take that point, and we will debate that. I'm coming. Sanjeev Srivastava, I'll come to you in a moment. I want a quick reaction from Samit Patra to the point that Sanjay is making. First up, that you did this to divert the attention of the country from pressing issues that needed to be debated, including the Nirav Modi scam. What is the BJP speaking of? Significance of Parliament. You've reduced the significance of the Parliament, which was once the August House. The BJP took the ordinance route repeatedly. You passed crucial legislation as money bills. You delayed a session due to Congress, due to the Gujarat elections. So why should people take this clarion call seriously, Samit Patra?
Sandeep, I firmly believe that the list of the issues on the agenda that my good friend Sanjay Jha read out over here for the Parliament to discuss were absolutely important. We may be in government, well yes, but Nirav Modi case was extremely important. The Parliament should have discussed it. And in fact, the Parliament was ready to pass the Economic Offenders Bill 2017 as well. I believe rather than discussing all these in the televisions in such a disciplined manner that we are doing right now, this discipline should have been reflective on the floor of the Parliament. But look, the irony is we discuss every day evening about the atrocities on the Dalits, the alleged atrocities on the Dalits on the television channel. But while we are on the floor of the Parliament, none of these political leaders are ready to discuss that. Secondly, our political leaders got up and umpteen number of times unequivocally they said that any issue we are ready to pick up, we are ready to discuss. And Mr. Sanjay Jha is saying that one of our allies was the one which was creating the pandemonium. It's ironical that at one hand you say that we are not doing well with our allies, the TDP and Shiv Sena are doing not well with us, and then the second moment you say that, well, it is the TDP which was creating pandemonium, it was the AIADMK which was creating the pandemonium. So you cannot have both the sides with you.
Yeah. Right. Samit Patra, you made your point that it wasn't just the AIADMK, the YSR CP that you're looking at an alliance with, and I'll come to that point a little later on the show. But let's get in Sanjeev Srivastava also. And Mr. Srivastava, how can the BJP today say that they observe a fast to protect democracy from destruction and unproductivity? That's exactly what happened in the 15th Lok Sabha, where disruption was considered a legitimate form of protest, with none other than Rajnath Singh, Sushma Swaraj and Arun Jaitley quoting that in 2012. In fact, a lot of people out there believe that BJP perhaps was a big beneficiary of Parliament not functioning this time around, because there were no tough questions asked and none answered on Nirav Modi or the PNB scam, deteriorating bank assets, or for that matter, the very sensitive dilution of SC/ST Act.
I think I completely agree with you, Supriya, and most of what actually Sandeep also said. Both of you are more like, in terms of comments, more like analysts. So I must compliment you both. See, like competitive fasting or advantages of competitive disruption of house, I think BJP mastered that art, and they did benefit a lot, because the whole perception of UPA 2, and which frankly was quite a correct perception, that perhaps the UPA 2 was one of the most corrupt governments in the history of independent India, that was strengthened by the manner in which the parliament was disrupted, and the manner in which the BJP and Mr. Modi could take that campaign home to virtually every home. But this competitive fasting, the only thing good about it was, if I may say so, I would have been very critical of this fast, of the government sitting on a fast, of the government protesting, if Prime Minister Narendra Modi had sat on Rajghat or somewhere. At least he was doing his daily work. He went to Chennai, whether he was greeted by black flags or not, that's again a political matter. But at least he didn't take a day off and decided to sit on a fast, because he has a very important job to do. Is the Prime Minister of the country, he needs to do that. And I completely agree with, I think whether you or Sandeep, who said that this optics, this symbolism should end. There is no point of doing this 10 to 5 or 11 to 4 fasts. People have moved beyond that. And yes, like Sandeep said, it was on a day when, if the Prime Minister is fasting together with his entire government and governing party, that should be the story running all through the day and then the next day's newspapers. But unfortunately, the BJP is perhaps not reading the signs well. The biggest stories of the day is the Asifa rape. The biggest story of the day is this completely rogue MLA of the BJP who shows a thumb to everybody, law enforcement agencies, and the manner in which Yogi Adityanath and his government are succumbing. They are not responding to public perception and public pressure. That MLA may still be honest. True. But there is a thing called public pressure, public opinion, public mood, and
which they should respond.
उनको गरीब के साथ खड़ा होना चाहिए, ना कि बलवान के साथ. So this whole thing is, they are just somehow missing the woods for the trees.
Okay, fair enough. Sanjay, I know you want to respond to a point made by Samit Patra, but a quick question here to you as well. Parliamentary functioning has also failed because backroom negotiations, back channels, floor management, all of that has completely collapsed. While the BJP has questions to answer on why that has happened, will the Congress admit that there is too much of personal acrimony and a lot of it at your end as well, which has replaced what was once political rivalry in public life? I mean, why have things reduced to such a low that it's impossible for the opposition party and the government to get together, have these conversations while the parliament is in session and get debates going? Why is it reduced to this?
Sandeep, it is an established maxim in any parliamentary democracy that it is the responsibility of the government to ensure that the parliament functions. I mean, tomorrow when the bills get passed, I mean, the government gets a credit because the bill becomes an act. And I think, as all of you have correctly pointed out, I'm not commenting on what Samit said. You remember what Arun Jaitley famously quoted during the time when the UPA was not allowed to function at all. Parliamentary gridlocks and logjams had become the order of the day. What did he say? Parliamentary obstruction is part of BJP's political strategy, and this is something that in a democracy needs to be encouraged for an opposition to reach out to the public. This was the BJP's stated explicit position. We don't have that. In fact, I can tell you straightforward that when you go and watch the proceedings of the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, can you imagine that the government of the day allows the finance bill, which we debate so often pre, during and after on your channel? Can you imagine that mammoth budget gets passed in 30 minutes without discussion? Is that democracy for us? I mean, isn't it the government's responsibility to invite debate? And there are so many intelligent and learned people in parliament. The truth is, if the government wanted this house to function, the house would have functioned. I can tell you, this is the most absurd, atrocious situation where the government does not allow the parliament to function because they believe there will be negative repercussions on Karnataka, because the people of Karnataka who are going to vote will see all the shenanigans and corruption and the misgovernance done by Mr. Modi's government.
All right. Sanjay Jha, just hold your thoughts there. You're raising you're making a grave charge there. And I will get Sambit Patra to react to this. And Sambit Patra, the fast set aside, and I'm no one to sit on judgment here, whether there should be a fast on this or should there be a fast on something that has stirred the consciousness of this country. The BJP can keep blaming the opposition for the washout, but the reality is, and I'm really talking about your sympathizers. I'm not talking about your allies, your sympathizers, your AIA DMK sympathizer, your YSR Congress sympathizer were the ones disrupting the house. Now, what does that say about ally/sympathizer management? And many people believe this was staged disruption. That was the big allegation that came the BJP's way. You had to be in parliament, you had to meet two intelligent or not so intelligent people, and it was easy for you to find out. As an onlooker of Indian politics, I could tell you that was so staged disruption.
Supriya, I would say, do you are dumb, don't do you are dumped. I mean, this is the issue over here. Had those AIA, DMK or the TDP lawmakers been evacuated of the house or have been suspended from the house, then the Congress party would have been conducting another farce of a fast with Chole Bhature, saying that democracy is in danger. So if you don't, then they call you then they call those parties as sympathetic parties, and this as something which has a sart-gant with the Bharatiya Janata Party. Now, coming to the second and the very important issue, on a broader point, Supriya, I can say that this is not just disruption of the parliament and bringing disrepute to the parliamentary function. The Congress party since 2014 is not able to swallow the success of the Modi government, not even able to swallow that Mr. Modi can become the Prime Minister of the country. And in this race to bring disrepute to the parliament, they have brought disrepute to many of the important constitutional bodies of this country. Remember, it is the same Congress party for the first time in the history of this country has brought all kind of acrimonious words for the election commission of this country. The same Congress party, in fact, in order to fire their own ambitions, have spoken something which is absolutely not acceptable against the Supreme Court of this country, to the extent that this budget session, we almost heard that the Congress party was about to bring an impeachment motion against the CJI of the country. So I firmly believe this is the frustration of the Congress party out of the power, that we see a system of anarchy building around all the institutions of the country. Secondly, what I firmly believe to say over here, that there is no competitive disruption. What we were doing in the yesteryears, we have seen the dividends of those kind of quote-unquote disruption, 2G and the Colgate being the best example. In both these, because of our so-called disruptions, we saw that the auctions took place yet again, and the beneficiary was the exchequer of this country, the common man of this country. Mr.
Okay,
Sanjay
you're
Jha,
justifying your
really
disruption, and I'm sure in
with
hindsight the Congress will justify its disruption as well. Fair enough, I take that point. Sanjay Srivastava, role of Speaker is also under question. Speaker was not willing to allow House to function as being alleged. Lok Sabha was adjourned twice in under 1 minute, 4 times in under 2 minutes, and twice in under 3 minutes, despite the leader of the opposition saying, don't adjourn the House.
That's right.
I think while the UPA 2 was clearly more guilty of being a corrupt government in public perception and to a large extent reality, the NDA government is more guilty in the sense that nobody actually thought during UPA 2 that UPA 2 was not allowing the parliament to function. Everybody, rightly or wrongly, said it was BJP's job. BJP has done that. This time, the opinion is really divided, and there is quite a few who firmly believe that BJP was behind the disruptions, while others may believe that the opposition was behind it. So the jury is out on that one, but the BJP is getting part of that blame. One. The other thing which I would like to say, that the opposition has only sprung back to life now. The Congress was stunned into silence and submission for the first 3.5 years of Narendra Modi rule. It's only after some few victories in parliamentary by-elections and the assembly election result of Gujarat that the opposition is showing signs of coming back to life, as they see the Prime Minister and his party a little vulnerable and not so invincible anymore. So the competitiveness is increased even further. And yes, the role of the chair in both houses of the parliament, well, that has frankly always been a little suspect, because we have never had a truly impartial chair in any regime. But this time what the Lok Sabha speaker did was questioned more than, I think Balram Jakhar was the last speaker during Rajiv Gandhi times, which I remember, when his conduct was questioned in 1987 to 89 phase. But after that, perhaps Sumitra Mahajan's role has been under the scanner the most, perhaps. So yes,
Right.
a lot of questions there.
ये तो वही बात हो गई, राइट, ये तो वही बात हो गई, 280 और 282 आपके एमपीज हैं और फिर आप कहते हैं कि हम हाउस नहीं चला सकते. That's a point to discuss. But Sanjay Jha, you also have a tough question to answer there. The BJP perhaps is striking and using all its political equity outside of parliament, and we can see that happen. But why is the Congress party treating, and you were perhaps in a position of authority in the Rajya Sabha, but why is the Congress party treating the House of Elders as a house of obstructionists? You can't have objection to everything that the government is bringing, and that seems to be the case as well.
But you know something, Supriya, when you look at the kind of complex issues that have actually hit India simultaneously, I mean, you realize that the parliament, a sacrosanct, consecrated body, as you rightly called it in August House, needed actually a very animated debate. You know, take an example of what Sanjeev Srivastava is saying, and I completely disagree with him when he does not mention about the corruption in the BJP. That's exactly what we are discussing. If you look at the number of bank scams that have been actually unearthed ever since Nirav Modi and Mehul Choksi happened, it's over 55 to 60,000 crores. Add to that Rafale, add to that the other allegations, they move into over 100,000 crores. The issue why they are not being discussed is because this government is muzzling, I think, the larger mainstream media, doesn't want them to talk about it. But more important, when parliament debates it, you know, it gets a live recording, it's displayed all over the country. They don't want people to hear it. I think the Karnataka election is something that has become a pathological obsession with Amit Shah and Narendra Modi, because they're seeing the writing on the wall. And you know something, end of the day, when you speak in parliament, you have to choose what you say. You only speak on substantive facts, and these things then get recorded. And I think this government was dodging this issue. It's very important to raise this point, Supriya. Let me tell you, we are the opposition. We have 45, 46 members in Lok Sabha. But today, when I was learning arithmetic in school, 282 was greater than 45. After so many years of experience, I'm discovering 45 is greater than 282. I'm very flattered to know that, you know, economics or other arithmetic is moving in a reverse direction. This is a government that is paranoid of its crumbling image. And today, it's shocking that on the issue of the two brutal rapes that have happened, Amit Shah, Smriti Irani, none of them is willing to say a word.
Okay, I'll come to that. I'll come to that.
Where women are being brutally and dastardly attacked and raped and killed.
Okay, Sanjay Jha, that is just the next question we're asking. Sanjay,
Narendra Modi has nothing to say.
Sanjay Jha, let me interrupt you. I need to get in Sambit Patra here very quickly. Sanjay Jha, let me interrupt you. Sanjay Jha, let me interrupt you. I hear you. We'll debate that. But Sambit Patra, I have a specific question for you. And then we will debate the point that Sanjay Jha is making. But one quick question on the reason why you're fasting. And again, this is data that I'm putting in front of the viewers, because the perception is that the government does not want to invest its political equity in parliament. The BJP has referred just 27% of bills to parliamentary committees that typically enrich legislation in a bipartisan manner, as against 71% bills referred to parliamentary committees in the 15th Lok Sabha, and 60% of bills referred to parliamentary committees in the 14th Lok Sabha. You have only done it for less than 25%, 27% of bills. Does that signal that the government doesn't want to invest its political equity in the parliament?
No, I firmly believe that is wrong because of the very fact that, as you said, the numbers are with us, 282. Secondly, the Prime Minister, the day he entered the parliament, he entered with a bow to the parliament, saying that this is the highest temple, the sacrosanct temple of democracy. So firmly, a person who had been Chief Minister for 4 times and then becomes the Prime Minister never disregards the democratic system of this country. And a very important example over here. Remember when the Prime Minister was speaking on budget in this budget session, the previous one, in fact, the first half of the budget session, we had seen the pandemonium created by the opposition party. That time, a whole of the opposition was present in the Lok Sabha while the Prime Minister was speaking, and we had seen the kind of noises, we had seen the kind of, I would say, churlish behavior of the opposition member, and we had seen even, in fact, Renuka Chaudhary, the kind of laugh she had come out with. So I firmly believe the idea of the opposition not to let the parliament function is core to the fast that the Prime Minister and the other ministers and the member of parliament are holding today in a very peaceful manner. They want to convey to the people the message that is, we are trying our best, but the ones which are holding us is the opposition because they are frustrated. Secondly, Karnataka has cropped up a number of times. Let me just use 10 more seconds for Karnataka. This was the same narrative, I would say, before the UP elections, before the Tripura elections, that Bharatiya Janata Party is going to lose it in the worst possible manner, and we had seen the result. The only quote-unquote moral victory for the Congress party was in Gujarat. God does, they get many of such moral victories where they are not victorious, they win 1 or 2 extra seats. But this is not the way. In Karnataka also you would see that victory would be with the truth, that is Bharatiya Janata Party.
You know, Sambit Patra, when the Prime Minister did bow at the steps of Parliament, it brought a lot of, it brought a lot of pride within me. And then he goes on and does ordinances. It makes me wonder, does he even consider Parliament's authority as supreme? So I disagree with you on that point. But I want to ask you a question which has personally riled me and personally kept me, up at nights for end on. I'm going to come to each one of you in just a minute now. But Sambit Patra, answer this question for me. You can fast for Parliament not functioning, which is partly your failure, of course, and the opposition is to be blamed as well. But why no fast on the Unnao rape? Why no fast on the Kathua travesty? Are those not issues that the BJP would want to fast over? Are these not gory instances of selective outrage? Given the grave allegations against your own chief minister, or against your own MLA from Unnao, how come he is still in the Legislative Assembly? Why has he not been asked to quit by the Chief Minister, by the Prime Minister, by your party president? A CBI inquiry is lodged in this case, an FIR has been lodged against him, and he continues to be an elected representative?
Supriya, you have a right question in front of me, because every Indian probably is asking this question. Let me answer both the questions that you have put. First, as far as your disagreements regarding the ordinance is concerned, we had umpteen number of times discussed this, and I have presented the data as to how the ordinances during the years which preceded Mr. Modi's era was far more than the ordinances presented by this government. Now, coming to the pertinent point of Unnao and Kathua, I absolutely echo the sentiments that Supriya and Sandeep are showing in this debate. Even my opponents have every right of brutally questioning me, because this is what a common Indian is questioning, and I firmly agree that these people, the ones who are responsible for the massacre, brutal murder and massacre of an 8-year-old girl in Kathua, or the Unnao MLA whom I am seeing right now on the screen also, these people should be shown no leniency, and I can promise you that not through fast but fast track action the government will perform. I disagree that the government should fast on issues like this. I firmly believe that government should act fast, and I can assure you that the government will act fast, and none of these people are going to get away from the tentacles of law that is very quickly approaching them.
If that were the case, he should have been sacked. What is the government waiting for? He goes to the police station midnight, waves himself in front of media cameras, makes a mockery of the justice system and goes back. Sambit Patra, people of the country are not going to be convinced by what you said. People need action. So, Sanjay Jha, I'm going to let you comment, but I'm adding a question to you as well. I was surprised but that your Rahul Gandhi
Sandeep, I'll just take 10 more seconds, Sandeep, since you have asked a question, a very important one.
Point. Sure.
Sandeep, just 10 seconds. You are right, Sandeep, and that's why an SIT was formed, a CBI investigation is going on, the Allahabad High Court also has been approached, and I'm sure that at the earliest possible time, you are going to see action. We are not going to let these people committing heinous crime let loose. Be assured,
we'll wait
this
and
is
see.
a very important channel, and through this channel we are speaking to the people of this country.
Okay, Sanjay Jha, quick rebuttal from you, but I'm adding a point. Rahul Gandhi is otherwise very quick to tweet, and why did it take so long for him to tweet on the Kathua incident? I mean, it took him almost 24 hours to condemn that. Is this not some sort of political opportunism, choosing to be silent because there are communal overtones which have been shamelessly exploited by political leaders in Jammu and Kashmir? Why was Rahul Gandhi silent?
Well, Sandeep, first and foremost, I hope you're aware that Mr. Adityanath's government has actually told the Allahabad High Court that we have no evidence against the accused BJP MLA Kuldeep Singh, and they are not going to arrest him. There will be no charges against him. This is brazen. Sambit Patra, my good friend, can come and make all his motherhood statements on your channel, a highly respected channel watched by many. But let's tell you the truth. This is such a hypocritical, fraudulent government that the spokesperson is saying one thing on the TV screen and you have something entirely different happening in reality. Point number two, Mr. Gandhi, by the way, had tweeted on both the horrific rapes quite a long time ago. He had actually tweeted about it earlier. I think the reason why today we need to worry is because the Bharatiya Janata Party's leaders, who are ministers in the government of Mehbooba Mufti, have gone and supported those who are protesting against a charge sheet being lodged against the horrific crime on an 8-year-old child. I mean, I can tell you this for a fact, and I hear at this moment, I'm not speaking as the Congress party spokesperson. I can tell you this, you read that entire charge sheet and you feel sick. It's a revolting, kind of information that you read there. And for a political party to actually participate in a protest against protecting, basically to protect the accused and not even care, drop a crocodile tear for a victim of, I don't know, such a barbaric crime, it tells you what the BJP's mindset is. They are playing communal polarization with that very ugly rape in Jammu and Kashmir. And I can tell you something, the people of India are now woken up to the reality. They are not going to buy all this Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao from Narendra Modi anymore. I think the Prime Minister's credibility is an all-time low. Has Narendra Modi said a word on this? Has Narendra Modi tweeted on this? Is there a word of sympathy from Modi and Amit Shah? These are questions that the country is asking.
Okay. You know, Sanjeev Srivastava, I'll get you to have the last word on this show. As a party that is so good at perception management, has the BJP got it wrong here altogether? And while I ask you that question, I must appreciate the fact that Sambit Patra and Sanjay Jha, I kind of agree with you what Yogi Adityanath and his government has done in UP, but I appreciate the fact that Sambit Patra has perhaps gone out of the party line and has denounced what's happening in UP or what has happened in Kathua. So as journalists, we must also appreciate if somebody is making an effort, and Sambit Patra this evening has made that effort. But Sanjeev Srivastava, to you then, BJP that is so good at perception management and so good at headline management also, if I may say, has it got it completely wrong? They are fasting for parliament that did not work, and here you have black flags in Kathua and Unnao and their own legislator involved?
You know, like they say, success as many fathers, failure has none. The BJP, especially the Prime Minister and his party chief Amit Shah combination, had this remarkable knack, and I am saying had because it seems that they have somehow misplaced it or lost it for some time or a longer time, I don't know. But they had this remarkable knack of having their fingers on the popular pulse. That seems to have deserted the BJP somewhat of late. You know, whether it was the by-elections loss or the filing of review petition in Supreme Court, which took its own time, or the infamous diktat issued by the I&B ministry, which was withdrawn. So they seem to be, you know, they were always setting the agenda. They were proactive, but they now seem to be reacting. Sambit Patra was brilliant. You know, he was sensitive, he was humane, he said all the right things, the right optics. But what's happening on the ground is something completely different. So really, you know, and Sanjay Jha disagreed with me when I called the UPA 2 corrupt. I was saying that in popular perception, UPA 2 was perhaps the most corrupt government in Indian history. Similarly, in popular perception, the Modi government is seen as a government which is undemocratic and also which is divisive. So those are perceptions. You may like them or you may not like them. I am not there to please either Sambit or Sanjay. But these and the perception management was something at which the Prime Minister Modi was a master at. And is that knack failing him just 11 months before the national elections is the big question.
Aptly put there, Sanjeev Srivastava, but I think on that note, I've completely run out of time here as well on this leg of the India development debate. I can't thank my wonderful panel enough, but I wish there is a day when Rahul Gandhi and Prime Minister Narendra Modi can sit together and fast for the safety of our women, for their security, and hope they can fast together to ensure that the culprits who perpetrate these heinous crimes are brought to book. I wish there was a day when on Rajghat they can sit together and vow to fight to keep our children safe, and that's exactly the idea of this debate.
Thanks for being with us on the first leg of the India development debate. We step into a short break. Lots more lined up on the other side. Keep it with ET Now.